Welcome everyone to our fourth and final video in our Choosing a Faction for BattleTech series. Before we begin, I must reiterate there is no need to choose a faction for your forces. Choosing a faction is only for flavor and inspiration for force building. There are no advantages or disadvantages to choosing factions for your forces. The intent of this project is only to encourage creativity by introducing the major canon factions of BattleTech, so that folks new to the setting might be able to get a handle on how the universe works and jump off from there. Previous videos have covered the Inner Sphere, including the Great Houses and Comstar, the clans, and periphery forces. Now, we are going to hop into some of the mercenary factions of the setting. Mercenary units are the backbone of the BattleTech setting. Players can easily flavor their unique paint jobs to be a custom mercenary unit on the tabletop. Since most of them are only loyal as far as the contract is written, they can jump from employer to employer, or house to house, etc. When trying to stay reasonably within the canon of the setting for gameplay flavor, a mercenary force would have arguably a better reason to have an odd collection of battle mechs and vehicles. Keep in mind, even more so than previous entries, this will not cover every available faction. Just a select few of some of the bigger mercenary units will be covered. There is a vast collection of source books and novels which cover the many other mercenary units in the setting. The units we will be covering here are the Grey Death Legion, Kell Hounds, Eridani Ligh Horse, Wolf's Dragoons, and the Northwind Highlanders. We will take a brief look at their lore, major personalities, and color schemes. Unlike previous entries in the series, we will not be listing common battle mechs, as mercenary units, for the most part, do not have production facilities, and go about collecting their assets in a more random manner. We will, however, mention mechs they tend to be associated with. Let's begin with the Grey Death Legion. The Grey Death Legion officially originated in 3025. However, they were active the year before as the first Trellwan Lancers. Known for their advanced battlefield tactics thanks to their commanding officer Grayson Death Carlisle's innate skills as an anti-battle mech tactician, they were a force to be reckoned with. The Grey Death Legion gained Inner Sphere-wide fame when they released many copies of the Helm Memory Core, a Star League library of vastly important lost information and technology, to the Sphere at large, after thwarting a rogue member of Comstar's plot to prevent this. The Grey Death Legion would be instrumental in the use of battle armor, having designed their own unique models from original prototypes to complement their signature battlefield tactics, these models finding rare success against the newly invading clans. Major personalities of the Grey Death Legion include Grayson Death Carlisle, the founder, namesake, and first commanding officer of the Grey Death Legion. His signature battle mech is the Marauder. Lori Kalmar, a founding member of the Legion, executive officer and wife of Grayson. Her signature battle mechs are the Locust and then later the Shadowhawk. Davis McCall, an officer of great character and proud of his family's Scottish heritage. His signature battle mech is the Rifleman. The Grey Death Legion tends to use a dark gray on light gray camouflage pattern, with red accents. Their logo is a red flag with a white skull at center. Next, let's cover the Kell Hounds. Morgan and Patrick Kell formed the Kell Hounds in 3010 with the money received from an inheritance from their cousin, Arthur Louvon, who happened to be the husband of the current Archon of the Lyran Commonwealth. At first it was assumed they were just using their fame and fortune to dabble at Soldiers of Fortune. They quickly became well known throughout the Inner Sphere for their tactical and strategic excellence. A notable event occurred in 3016 in which during a duel with Yorinaga Kurita, Morgan Kell's archer would completely disappear from all nearby scanning and targeting equipment, functionally becoming untargetable. Yorinaga would miss multiple close-range shots at Morgan's disabled mech. Both mech warriors would be shaken by this moment and go into exile. The Kell Hounds were all but disbanded until the death of Patrick Kell, which brought Morgan out of hiding. He proceeded to rebuild the Kell Hounds and brought them on a path of vengeance. It is still debated whether or not Morgan's controversial ability to disappear is supernatural or technological. Major personalities of the Kell Hounds include Morgan Kell, Colonel of the Kell Hounds, Pilots and Archer; Patrick Kell, Lieutenant Colonel of the Kell Hounds, Pilots a Thunderbolt; Daniel Allard, Lieutenant Colonel who took command after Morgan's retirement, Pilots a Wolfhound. The Kell Hounds tend to paint their battle mechs in red and black. Their logo is a black hound's head within a red triangle. Now we will look at the Eridani Ligh Horse. The Eridani Ligh Horse is one of the oldest mercenary units in the BattleTech fiction. Formed in 2702 from the Star League Defense Force's 3rd Regimental Combat Team, turning to mercenary work after remaining in the Inner Sphere when the majority of the SLDF disappeared beyond the periphery. The honor and ideals of the Light Horse remain unchanged from their Star League days. In honor of the decision of the League to go into exile and for the 3rd RTC to stay behind, the Eridani Light Horse headquarters always keeps 2 flagpoles. One is empty, representing the loss of the SLDF, and the other keeps the unit's flag at half-mast. Known for their ability to use diplomacy to great effect, they are still an elite combat force, able to resolve conflict with violence when diplomacy fails. Major personalities of the Eridani Light Horse include Nathan Armstrong, Illyrian Commonwealth orphan taken in by the Eridani Light Horse, CO from the end of the 3rd Succession War through the 4th. His signature mech is the Atlas. William Peterson, jazz musician and CO after the 4th Succession War. His signature battle mech is the Atlas. Ariana Winston, CO during the clan invasion, felt a sense of betrayal in the revelation the clans were the returned SLDF. She piloted a Cyclops. The Eridani Light Horse tend to paint their battle mechs in olive drab, as the Star League Defense Force did. Their logo is the silhouette of a prancing horse upon a yellow background. Seemingly appearing out of nowhere in the early 31st century, the Wolf's Dragoons were one of the most well-known and elite mercenary units in all the Inner Sphere. Highly trained and exceptionally disciplined, the Wolf's Dragoons had no problem finding employers, although one thing stood out amongst their employers and targets. For a mercenary unit, they had suspiciously advanced equipment, including battle mechs and variants not available anywhere else. This was chalked up to them finding a lost Star League cache. The reality is Wolf's Dragoons were not from the Inner Sphere, but from beyond the periphery. They were concepted as a recon unit for the soon-to-invade clans, and traveled from the clan homeworlds to spy on the Inner Sphere. After spending nearly half a century in the Sphere, however, the Wolf's Dragoons would fight on the side of the Inner Sphere to defend against this new threat. Major personalities of the Wolf's Dragoons are Jamie Wolf, the charismatic leader of the Wolf's Dragoons through the end of the FedCom Civil War, calm and strategic, known to pilot an Archer. Joshua Wolf, the brother of Jamie and second in command of the Wolf's Dragoons, acted in a more administrative role, died tragically in 3015. Natasha Kerensky, also known as the Black Widow. She is a fearsome combatant with a deadly reputation and the only member of the unit to join the clan side during the invasion, known to pilot a Warhammer while in the Wolf's Dragoons. The Wolf's Dragoons tend to paint their battle mechs black with red highlights. Their logo consists of a black silhouette of a growling wolf upon a red background. Note, the Warhammer pictured has an additional red hourglass on its center torso. This puts it in the Black Widow company of the Wolf's Dragoons. Predating the Star League Defense Force, the Northwind Highlanders were officially formed in 2362 by descendants from Scotland on Terra, although they have been around in some form or another since centuries before. The unit allows their ancestry to inspire their modern-day traditions and style, including divisions of groups into family clans, or occasionally blasting bagpipe music on comms and loudspeakers to inspire and confuse. As the name suggests, the Highlanders' home is in the world of Northwind, which holds an especially sacred place in their hearts. While lost briefly between 2481 and 3028, the Northwind Highlanders' loyalty belongs ultimately to Northwind. Major personalities of the Northwind Highlanders are William MacLeod, key officer of the Highlanders involved in the liberation and independence of Northwind. He was known to pilot a Gallowglass and later a Huron warrior. Chastity Mulvaney, originally a Federated Sons loyalist, she went independent and joined MacLeod in the liberation of Northwind after Davian treachery was uncovered. She was known to pilot a Marauder too. Lauren Jaffray, once loyal to the Capellan Confederation, this former Death Commando defected to the Northwind Highlanders. He was known to pilot a Gallowglass formerly owned by William MacLeod. The Northwind Highlanders tend to paint their vehicles with tartan accents, while the main color would vary by command. Their logo is of a claymore upon a red and blue tartan. Or, just don't pick one. Running a custom mercenary unit is one of the oldest traditions of BattleTech tabletop play. Come up with your own camo specs and go wild. Create your own backstory. Everything is fair game if you and your opponent agree on terms. If you want to jump deep in the rabbit hole of mercenary gameplay, grab a copy of Campaign Operations, Hotspots Hinterlands, or the Mercenary box set. All have in-depth rules for running your own mercenary unit for campaign play, with Campaign Operations being the far crunchier option. Also, the factions covered in this video are a few grains of sand on a whole beach of canon mercenary units in the BattleTech fiction. Browse through the many mercenary sourcebooks and novels for further inspiration. Thanks for tuning in, we appreciate the watch. If you enjoyed the video, please click on that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Please leave a comment with constructive criticism or questions or suggestions. I read them all. Most of the BattleTech content here is focused on new players trying to get into the tabletop game, as the game does not have traditional additions, making decent entry points for rules and lore a bit more obscure. I am trying to make the entry a little bit easier. Please keep an eye out for more lore and rules videos coming soon. Until then, you all take care.